everybody, I'm Chantel and welcome to my 2021 season in the bag. This year has been crazy for Chris and I. I cannot believe all of the things that we got to do. It's just so insane. I didn't think that I would be here in my second year of disc golf. We had so much fun and I cannot wait for 2022. We are just so excited to meet more of you guys firstly, but to go to more pro events. Let's start off with my putting putters, the most important discs in my bag. Putting was something that I struggled the most with this year, which is so funny to me because I practiced so hard. I was feeling so good about it. It just started going downhill when I was getting these huge tournament nerves. It didn't feel like me on the putting green at most of the tournaments that I played. This is something that I am really practicing to be better with in the 2022 season. This is my putting putter. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I got this disc at the Christie Lake Ice Bowl. It was one of my first tournaments. I already had a judge that I putted with, but this one, it just felt so good in my hand. I didn't know why, but I just took to this putter really quickly and I really started to fall in love with it. I was putting with this putter at the beginning of the season and I just realized that I was getting a little too beat in. I just felt like this was not finishing like it usually was, so I was missing right a lot. After Amateur Worlds, I switched to this putter, which is also prime plastic, I'm pretty sure. That's what the guy told me when I got it, because it doesn't say on it, but it's the prime burst, but it feels very, very stiff. So I'm thinking that maybe it's the classic burst, but I've been struggling with this putter because it is so stiff and it's so stable. It just doesn't get the long glide like my old putter used to. It would just fade out too early and I'd be missing left all the time. So I stole Chris's soft classic burst putter. I'm just trying to see if I like it. And I like the grip and it feels comfortable in my hand, but I don't know. It's just something about it that I don't like as much as the prime plastic. I have all the different plastics in the judge and I'm just trying them all out right now, trying to see what works for me, which one I like the best. And I think I like the prime plastic the best. For now, I've just been kind of putting with all of them, seeing what I like and trying to get it out of my head that I need one certain putter. I need to be confident with my putting skills and know that I can putt with any putter. That's what I'm working on right now. So next we will go to my throwing putters, which I currently have 4, but actually 5 because I've been using this as my throwing putter as well. So we will start off with the oldest in my bag. This is the first judge I ever got and it is super beat in, prime burst plastic. It is totally warped, but it just is perfect for turnovers or pin straight tailwind shots. Now this was the putting putter that I don't like, but it is perfect for upshots because it is stable, it holds up pretty good in wind, and it has that little bit of fade at the end. Now, I usually throw this if it's anywhere from 200 and under. I like this one because it doesn't go too far like my other judge, and it doesn't bounce too far. Now this judge, this is my chameleon judge. It is so beautiful. It's my favorite disc out of my bag. It is such a great disc. Oh my gosh, I was looking so long for one of these and finally I found one and then I ended up getting a backup from one of my friends. Thank gosh, because you cannot find these anywhere and I don't know what I would do without this. I use this disc off the tee all the time, anywhere from 250 feet and under. If it's a pin straight shot, this is what I'm using. It is so straight and has just the tiniest bit of fade at the end. And it honestly, it just glides so far. It's almost like it's a mid-range, but so straight. So this is what I'm gonna be pulling out for most of my up shots and very straight shots. Now, if I put it on a Slate hyzer, it will hold the line. Same with an anhyzer. It holds the line, it might come out a little bit, but any line that I put this on, it listens and it goes where I want, and this is my favorite disc in my bag. Next up is the DGA Breaker in the SP line. This disc is a little lighter. I think it's a 167 gram I like this disc for forehand up shots. That's mainly what I use it for. I don't really throw it for backhands much. It just feels really good in the hand. I like the plastic. It's like a gummy plastic, so it's not gonna bounce far from where you're throwing. And last is my Jawbreaker Zone. I've had this for a very long time. It's a puddle top, it's super overstable. I love it, it's very gummy, it feels really comfortable in the hand. And I use this for my up shots as well, but when I need a lot of fade at the end or when it's really windy, this is what I like to pull out for that. I don't really throw it backhand much unless I need a lot of fade at the end and it's like a short up shot or it's a short hole. So very good utility disc. Okay, next up are my mid-ranges. So the first one is this Glow Soul. I think this is a 4-speed, so it's kind of in that putt approach sort of category, but this thing is really cool and really fun to use. It requires a little bit of touch, or if you're a beginner, I think this would be really good for you because it's very flippy, so it's easy to use if you have a slow arm. You can make this go dead straight if you are putting it on a slight hyzer. It just flips up and it rides really nice and straight. Or I use this mostly for my turnover shots. This helped me a lot this year in the woods. It is such a good utility disc because it is so understable that you don't need a lot of power. If you're trying to get around a corner or you're behind a tree or something, you're just in a tricky situation, this helped me get out of those a lot this year. I find myself doing a lot of sidearms with it because you just have to put it on a little bit of an angle and it just holds the angle and fades out, and honestly, it saved me a couple times. So this disc is really fun. Next up is the Discmania Origin. This is also a really nice, fun, straight disc. This disc glides forever. I was finding myself throwing it just as far as a lot of my fairways. It's a lot of fun to use too because I love doing hyzer flips. It just flips up, goes a little bit right, and then comes back a little bit. So anything in the woods, when you're kind of scared to use a fairway, this works just as good, it goes just as far. So I find myself using this a lot in the woods as well. Next is the Mako 3 in Champion Plastic. I'm kind of on the fence with this right now. I don't know what it is. I think it's because my judge does what this needs to do. So I'm usually pulling out my judge when I need a straight shot. And I haven't been using this, so I think this might come out of the bag in 2022 season. I liked it, but my judge comes out of my hand so much smoother, and it does what this is supposed to do, which is go pin straight, hold any line that you put it on. It's a great disc, don't get me wrong. I loved it for so long, but it's just I'm throwing my judge when I would usually throw this. Next up is the DGA Rift in P-line plastic. My friends over from DGA sent me a couple of these discs, and this one I instantly fell in love with when I threw it. It was so glidey and had a really beautiful flight. Super big S-line with a nice big fade at the end. So these are comparable to the Buzz, but it is supposed to be a little bit more stable. I found myself using this a ton, but now it is getting way too beat in and it's kind of unpredictable now, so I can't really use it. I need to get another one, but honestly, you guys have to try out this Rift. It just glides so far. It's like a fairway driver. I keep saying that, but it's just amazing how far that these things can go. Definitely check this one out. I don't know, it might be better than the Buzz. All right, last mid-range in my bag is the Verdict. Now, I got this at the Ontario Disc Golf Championships in 2020. This disc I pull out a lot when there is a headwind. It is very straight with some fade at the end. So since that stability's there, I can count on it in the wind when I can't count on my other mid-ranges because they're a little bit more understable or neutral. So this is the one that I'm throwing a lot when I need a mid-range that's stable and I can trust. So I recently took this MD3 out of my bag for my mid-ranges. I used this MD3 a lot this year. At the beginning of the year, I was just feeling it. I was throwing it on almost every hole at my home course, and it was just doing exactly what I wanted. It would go really straight, little bit of fade at the end. I could throw it in a headwind and it would get a little turn and come back. So I was throwing this a lot, but now that I throw my judge for almost everything, I kind of replaced it. I did make a little bit of a relationship with this, but I just was never throwing it, and I was like, why is this in my bag? I haven't thrown it for like 3 weeks. May as well just put it on the shelf and have the memories with it. So I got the new MD3 recently, which is a 5501, which is, this one is a 5502, and this one is way less stable than the new one. So I just thought it was funny that they changed the numbers on that. But the new one was super stable, and I lost it in the first week that I had it. So that could be anywhere. It could be at Paris disc golf course, it could be at Mohawk, or it could be at my home course or the field. I'm not sure exactly where I lost it, and I didn't have my name on it because it's brand new. I was so sad, but yeah, it's somewhere out there and someone's enjoying a nice new shiny MD3. So next we are going to move on to the Fairway drivers. So this is one of the more newer additions to my bag. It is the Royal Rage 2 Instinct, and Chris really liked the regular Instinct. He was throwing it really well. So since I already had an Instinct to kind of compare to, this was very stable when I first got it. Now it's a little bit beat in, so it's not as stable, but it's definitely a stable fairway driver. I haven't been throwing it that much though. I don't know if this will make it into my bag next year. I just have to work with it a little bit more, but I guess we will see. It's really nice and it feels awesome. This plastic is beautiful. Next is my Leopard 3, which I'm a little bit sad about now because I have it in the G-Star plastic and it's getting a little bit too flippy now. I find myself not reaching for this disc really anymore because it's a little unpredictable. Just because it's been flipping too much for me, but then sometimes it has its regular flight. This disc was really awesome. I used it a lot in the woods, a lot in the open. It was just really nice flex finish at the end, but now it's getting a little too beat in, so might have to get another one. Don't know what plastic yet, but we'll see next year. All right, last fairway driver, and it is the Sting that I got from the Tecumseh Corn Fest, my first tournament ever. I just love this disc. I can't say more good things about it. I always hype it up to people when they're like, what was that? I was like, it's the Sting. This is the best woods disc. If you're trying to hit a tiny gap, it's so nice because you can put it on a pretty steep hyzer and it's just gonna flip up and ride straight. So when there's like a small tiny gap and I need some distance, this is usually what I'm pulling out. I can trust that it's gonna flip up and just go straight. Now if I want it to flip, I put it on a slightly less angle of a hyzer and it flips up and it has such a nice ride to the right, and then it might come back a little bit at the end. Now that it's getting a little bit more beat in, it doesn't come back as much and it might turn a little bit more. Great disc for a beginner. I would recommend getting the Discraft Sting. Oh baby, there's a lot here. It's slightly embarrassing. All right guys, I got a big old stack of distance drivers. Now, I do not throw all of these a lot. A lot of these are new and I'm just trying them out, so they're in the bag right now and I don't know if they're gonna make it to next year. We'll see, I have to throw them more. So let's start off with the ones that I do throw. Okay, let's start off with the Undertaker. This is one of my first discs. I got it at my first tournament and I have thrown it ever since. I just grew with it. I know exactly what it's gonna do. It's just a very neutral, straight flyer, little bit of fade at the end, so I know exactly what it's gonna do, and that is why it's still in my bag. Next is the Pro Thunderbird. This was pretty beefy when I first got it, but now that it's beat in, it's really, really straight, has a nice fade at the end. So when it is windy, I am usually pulling this out and it is basically pin straight. Might get a little bit of an S flight, but this is perfect when it's windy or when I just need a very straight shot with some fade at the end. So I got this when I was at Amateur Worlds. It is a Sidewinder and it is a pretty beefy Sidewinder. When I first got it, I was like, what is this? This is like more stable than my Undertaker. So it was really straight and then it just had like a big fade at the end. It was so strange, but now that I'm beating it in, it's getting to where I want. We'll see if this stays in the bag. I am liking it a little bit more, but it's definitely not what the numbers are saying. All right guys, so most of you probably know that I threw my favorite ever Wraith into a lake in Florida. Couldn't get it back because didn't want to get bit by an alligator, but I replaced it with this Star Wraith, and I've actually been liking it. It is a Ken Climo Star Wraith. It's not too domey. I am not a huge fan of discs that have a lot of dome. It just doesn't feel good in my hand. So this one is pretty nice. It's pretty flat. My other Wraith was very flat, and that's why I liked it. But this one is actually pretty understable. I was worried that I beat my other one into perfection, and I loved how big the S flight was, and I was scared I wasn't gonna have that. But this one, it beat him pretty quickly, and it's pretty much the same as my other Wraith. So I am getting better with not getting too connected with my discs, and I know that I can learn another disc and replace it. So this Wraith has been pretty good to me, and I'm starting to like it a lot more. Now here is the Halo Wraith that I have. It is a stable boy. It is so stable. It's more of a utility disc that I just keep in the back of my bag. I am not throwing this a lot, but when it is extremely windy, I will probably be throwing this because this is super stable. It's not gonna turn on you. I can throw this on like an angle like this and it's still gonna come out. It's just insane how stable it is. Next up is the Grace. This disc has quickly become one of my favorite distance drivers. It is so nice. This plastic, the royal plastic, feels so good in the hand, and they made it look so pretty with the swirls and the deep colors. Like, I love this disc. At first I was a little on the fence with it because I was like, oh, it's just kind of like my Wraith, except it's not my Wraith. Now that I'm throwing this disc more, it is so amazing. It gets such a nice S flight, and it goes really far, and the rim isn't too big. It fits really comfortable in my hand. So when there is a headwind and I need to do like a turnover shot, I usually pull out this Grace because I can put it on a hyzer in a headwind and it flips up and it rides right. It does not completely flip over, it just rides so nice to the right in a headwind. So I actually find myself using this disc a lot for that, but also when I'm just trying to get distance, throw on a slight hyzer, it pops up, has such a nice S flight, gets big old distance, and it looks good while it's doing it. So really been liking this Grace. Next up, we have my Thrashers. So this is one of the older Thrashers. I've had it since the beginning as well. It was really nice because I think this is a speed 12, but it has such a small rim. So it's a high-speed driver, but it has a small rim. That's why I think I like it so much. I also think that with a Thrasher, you have a slower arm. It is so nice because you can still get that nice long straight flight. This disc is really great for hyzer flip-ups. You throw it on a hyzer, it flips up really nice, rises to the right, comes back a little bit. Really good disc. This one's getting a little bit beat in. I couldn't really throw it at Florida because all my discs were more understable there. So I was like, oh man, I gotta get another one. So I went and purchased another Thrasher. I threw this so much at Amateur Worlds. It's a brand new disc too, so I was proud of myself. I was like, I can figure out new discs real quick. So I got it in the ESP plastic, and it was just so nice. You can throw it on a slight hyzer, pops up, has a little S flight, but look at how pretty this looks. This plastic is great. It feels really good in the hand. Now I'm not pulling this out a lot when it is windy because it is understable, but it gets really good distance, and I love the Thrashers. Okay guys, this is a fun one. So I bought this Blizzard Champion Destroyer, and I kind of just have this in my bag for fun. It's 139 grams, and this thing, when I first got it, I could not throw it. I kept just yanking it so far right. It just wouldn't come out of my hand because it's so light, it just wouldn't come out, but I kind of got used to it. This gives me big old distance. Can't really throw it into a headwind or anything, obviously. It's so light, but man, it comes out of your hand so fast. So this is kind of just for fun. I wouldn't really throw this in a tournament because I don't trust it. But when I'm just having fun and I want to get a lot of distance, this is what I'm going to be throwing. Okay, next is the Ballista Pro. I kind of keep this in the back of my bag as well because it is really good for headwinds. You may know that I used to love throwing ballistas, but I've just slowly been getting other discs and pushing out old ones and just going through the motions. So I still have this in the back of my bag just in case, because I do get a lot of distance with this, and especially when I'm in a headwind and I just need a nice big S curve. Like, this is perfect for headwind shots for distance. One of the newer additions to my bag is this Sea Blend Emperor. I use this mostly just for sidearms. I don't know if this is gonna stay in the bag. It's pretty beefy for what I thought, because I thought it was a more understable destroyer, but this one is definitely more stable. I think it's beating in, but I don't know. I don't know if I need this in the bag. It feels really nice though. It's really like flexible. But yeah, don't really use it that much. Next up is the Neo Enigma. First, I want to say that I had a Lux Enigma. I lost it at Toronto Island in the river, so that really sucks. But I got this one because my other one was really stable, but I really liked this disc, so I wanted to give it another try because Chris throws his really well. So I was like, oh, I want that. So I got this. It's mostly my water disc, I'm not gonna lie. I just told myself, you're not gonna get attached to this. And it has a pretty nice flight over the water, bright pink, you can find it. So yeah, mostly just my water disc. I don't really find myself throwing this at other times other than when there's water around. Okay, next up is a Zeus that I got signed by Paul Macbeth. So I was kind of scared to throw this because like, oh, I got Paul to sign it, I don't want to lose it or it gets stolen or whatever, but we have two, so ever since I lost my destroyer, I've been trying to replace it and try to find something that works. And this is pretty close, but this is actually less stable. It flips, like it gets a huge S curve and then like a big dump at the end, but like I couldn't believe how unstable this Zeus was. And I had another Zeus that I got from my league and it was so stable. I was expecting this to be really stable, but right when I threw it, I was like, holy crap, that is not stable. That is really nice. I really like it. I think it's gonna make it in next year because I am getting huge distance with it. All right, next up is the Sherike. I just got this disc as well. I think I've thrown this like 3 or 4 times. I had a Sherike at the beginning of the year, lost it, was never returned. So I was like, oh, I gotta replace it. This one is a little bit different. It's a Star Sherike and it has more dome to it, and I don't really like dome, but it's pretty flexible, so I think it's okay. I haven't really thrown it. It seems pretty flippy actually, so I have to work with it a little bit more, but it feels really good in the hand. We'll see if I'm throwing this next year. Okay, last up is the newest addition to my bag. I just bought this brim and it says it's a 13 speed, but this rim is way small. It is definitely not a 13 speed. I don't know. Feels really good in the hand though. This plastic is amazing. Look how cute it looks. I got this in 167 gram. This disc bombs pretty far too. You get a huge flex out of it with a little reliable fade at the end. Still working with it. So as you can see, I got a big old stack and I am working with a lot of these new discs, just trying to figure out which ones I like, which ones are gonna make it next year. So I actually did throw a lot of these in tournaments this year. So I recently got this Bushnell rangefinder, and honestly, I think this is gonna be a game changer next year. I'm so excited to use it. It's really easy to use. It tells you feet, tells you the elevation change. So I'm just really excited because I think this year I struggled a lot with how far things were and which disc to throw, because I know I can throw my Judge 250 feet perfectly. It's gonna be right under the basket, but is it 300 feet and I'm gonna be 50 feet short? So I think this is gonna really help me with my confidence. Throwing with confidence is something that I was struggling with, and when I would throw without the confidence, it would just be a terrible shot. So I'm really excited to see if this is gonna help with my game and give me the confidence that I was missing this year. Alright guys, so that is my 2021 season in the bag. I hope that you all enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.